If you choose not to testify, I will tell the jury that they cannot hold that against you. Do you understand that you have a right to testify?
Yes, sir.
Has anyone told you otherwise?
No, sir.
Has anybody pressured you into not testifying?
No, sir.
Do you understand you can testify if you wish?
Yes, sir.
Do you wish to testify?
No.
The other area that I was going to, I warned Mr. Taylor, I was going to ask you about, initially you had listed,
Yes, sir.
all right, and you've had an opportunity to express your opinion as to calling or not calling any witnesses.
Yes, sir.
So the question, and maybe it was a little confusing, I apologize for that, are there any witnesses not called that you want to be called here today and you have not had an opportunity to discuss that with your attorneys?
No, sir, we've discussed.
You've discussed the people that you would consider possible witnesses.
Yes, sir.
Any other inquiry you think we need to make, Mr.
No, Your
Taylor,
Honor, I think
from the
that's
state?
No, sir.
All right, thanks, sir. All right, is the state going to have rebuttal testimony?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you ready with that?
I'd like to have a brief recess to get them
I thought we
ready.
just did.
That was for another purpose. Should have at least 2 minutes left of the 10, right?
What's that?
I should have 2 minutes left of the 10 at least, right?
Well, I said I took 5, but anyway. So how long do you need?
I've had 5 minutes, please.
Okay. Mr. Taylor, I sent the jury instructions out last night, but I didn't get a response from you. Did you get them?
I was probably already prone in the bed, Judge.
But did you get them, or do you want a copy of them? I have a hard
If I
copy.
If I could get a hard copy, that would be
Okay,
appreciated.
I may give you a hard copy, and if the state needs another copy, there's another copy. We'll take about, how long did you say you need?
5, Judge.
Okay, we'll take 5 minutes.
Make sure they're. Yeah. Yes.
All right, come order. We're back in session.
We ready for jury?
Yes, sir.
Did you rest in front of the jury?
I did not.
All right, we need to let you rest in front of the jury. Why don't you just sit on the front row there behind Mr. Mood for the moment, detective, and let you rest in front of the jury, and then let the state call their first witness. All right, let's have a jury, please.
In the courtroom.
Everybody be seated. Mr. Taylor, you may call your next witness.
Judge, at this time, the defense will announce rest.
All right. State have some rebuttal testimony.
Yes, Your Honor, the state calls Detective Revel.
All right. The rules do allow for some brief rebuttal testimony, so that's what we're going to have at this point from the state. You remain under oath, Detective.
Yes, sir.
You can have a seat. Start out by stating your name again for us, please.
Detective Bill Revel.
Detective Revel, as part of this investigation related to state of Florida versus Adam Frasch, did you have an occasion to interview a witness by the name of Matt Christensen?
Yes, I did.
How many times did you interview Mr. Christensen?
2 different times.
When were those interviews conducted?
The first one was on February 24th, and the second one was the next day on the 25th.
Of the year 2014?
Yes.
Closer to
Put
the
that
mic, please.
bin back together. Thank you.
All right, how did Mr. Christensen, how did you become aware of him as a witness?
I think he had contacted our agency or someone within our agency and wanted to provide whatever information he had.
So he came to you rather than you locating him as a witness?
Correct.
And when he came to you as a witness, had he already looked at the victim's Facebook account?
Yes.
And he came in indicating to you that that's the woman that he had seen
He
in
said
the driveway?
that looked like her, yes.
Did he seem eager to help with the case?
He did.
All right, and did he indicate to you what color pants specifically the woman was wearing? Or let me just ask you more generally, what did he say about what this woman was wearing?
In the first interview, he mentioned that he saw her wearing red pants and a white shirt.
All right, and then what about in the second interview?
Second interview, he changed it and said that she was wearing white pants.
And he said, I feel pretty good about the white pants?
Yes, he did make that statement.
And then what about the color of the vehicle? He testified that he saw a woman loading something into a vehicle. Was he able to tell you in the interviews that you conducted with him what color that vehicle was?
He described it as a dark SUV.
And was he consistent with that throughout both interviews?
Yes.
And was he adamant about the color of the SUV?
Yes.
Did he say in the interviews that you conducted which side of the vehicle the woman was loading something into?
During each interview, he said it was the passenger side. And on the second interview, he mentioned it was the front seat of the passenger side.
Okay, and did he describe for you the orientation of the vehicle in the driveway?
He said the vehicle was pulled in straight toward, I guess, the front facing the house, not backed in.
And did Mr. Christensen wear glasses in either interview that you conducted with him?
No.
No further questions.
Cross.
No question.
Any juror have a question to this witness on this topic? All right, you can step down. You Next witness?
State calls Detective Tony Giraldi.
I don't believe he's been previously sworn, has he? Mr.
No, sir.
Captain? All right, come on up here, please, sir. If you'd face the clerk and be sworn, please, sir.
Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you give in this case will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do. Have a seat. Slide up the microphone, please, sir.
Please keep that microphone close to your mouth and say your name and spell your name.
Anthony Giraldi, ANTHONY,
How are you employed, sir?
I'm a sergeant with the Leon County Sheriff's Office
How long have you been with the Leon County Sheriff's Office?
for approximately 13 years.
Were you assigned to investigate the death of Samra Frasch?
Yes, I was.
And are you familiar with the interviews that were conducted of a witness by the name of Matt Christensen?
Yes.
Did you, as part of your investigation, do anything to follow up in reference to what Mr. Christensen told law enforcement?
Sure. There was some information that was developed based on Mr. Christensen's interviews that we followed up on. One being specifically some mention of black SUVs. We obtained surveillance footage from the gated community in Golden Eagle and followed up on as many black SUVs that either exited the gated community or came in during a specific time frame. Additionally, there was some mention of some red pants being worn by the subject Mr. Christensen alleged he saw. Personally, I looked at the search warrant video surveillance search warrant footage that we took, as well as the still photographs of the house on Inverness, to see if I could locate any red pants that may have been taken off by the victim or placed in a manner that maybe we had captured it during that video or during the still photographs.
And were you able to locate any signs of the red pants?
No.
All right, let's go back to the black SUVs. What time frame did you focus on in reference to looking at the surveillance to see if there was a black SUV or dark SUV?
Our time frame was focused on specifically when the defendant, Dr. Frasch, left around 8 o'clock till 11 when law enforcement was called.
And what can you tell the jury regarding the review of the surveillance video?
I can tell you that there was approximately 50 black SUVs that was on the surveillance footage during this time. There are specifically 3 gates in the gated community at Golden Eagle that both enter and close. There's exit gates on either side. During the investigation, looking at the surveillance footage, there were only 3 SUVs that either exited and re-entered or entered and then exited during that time period. Of those 3 SUVs, they were all residents of Golden Eagle, of the gated community. We made contact with all residents, and the surveillance footage showed that all SUVs were accounted for, black SUVs were accounted for in that gated community as being residents.
So you were not able to find an SUV on the surveillance video that could corroborate someone else coming in consistent with the timeframes that Mr. Christensen gave?
Correct.
No further questions.
Cross.
You indicated that you went into the house, or strike that. You didn't go into the house. You looked at a video and then photographs to determine whether or not there were any red pants or panties or shorts or anything like that in the house, is that right?
Yes, sir. Good morning.
Okay, and so just so I'm clear, did you actually do a walkthrough of the house?
I did not.
Okay. So you saw, if you looked at the photographs, you must have seen 549 pictures that were taken. Would that be about right?
There were a lot of photographs.
A lot of photographs.
Yes, sir.
And including photographs of the master bedroom?
Yes, sir.
Now approach.
You may.
I'm showing you what's been marked for identification purposes as Defendant's Exhibit 6 and ask if you recognize that photograph.
This is a photograph of a bedroom. Yeah, I mean, it's one I've seen.
And is that the master bedroom or can you tell?
I believe that from the angle of this photo, I believe it's a view of the master bedroom with the bassinet being right next to the bed.
Right next to the bassinet, and is there an object or an article of clothing on the floor by that bassinet?
I cannot make that out if that's an article of clothing.
It is red, is it not?
It is red with white trim.
Or is that a white rug?
I can't tell if it's the white rug.
And this would be one of the photographs that you reviewed, is that correct?
Correct.
Did you go and look at any pictures of the laundry room?
I reviewed all the photographs from the search warrant.
And do you recall whether or not you found any articles of clothing that were red in the laundry room photographs?
I do not.
Were you sitting through either or both of the interviews with Mr. Christensen?
I was not sitting through either.
Okay. So in conjunction with the issue that you looked at as to the black vehicles, that was based upon information you'd received from other law enforcement folks?
Through the entire investigation, that's correct.
Yes, okay. Were you aware of a white SUV with black trim that was in the driveway of the Frasch residence on the morning of the murder of Ms. Frasch?
Yes,
Okay. And that was a white SUV with black back, black interior, and black tire on the back. Is that correct?
I believe so, that's correct.
Judge, at this time, the defense would move in Exhibit 6, identified by this officer.
No objection.
Have you intentionally skipped 5? I think
I've got it, but that's not relevant at this time.
Okay, so.
And I'd like to publish to the jury, please.
All right. Admit Defense Exhibit 6.
Your Honor, that's all I've got of this witness.
Redirect.
Sergeant, after having reviewed Defense Exhibit 6, is it still your testimony to the jury that you were not able to locate any obvious red pants at the scene?
Yes, it is.
Nothing further.
Okay. You can step down. I'm sorry, the juror have a question of this witness on this subject. All right, you can step down. Further, Mr. Captain.
State calls investigator Jason Newland.
proceed. Glad at the microphone. You remain under oath. Start by stating your name for the record, please, sir.
Jason Newlin, Jasonnewlin.
Mr. Newland, since your prior testimony in this case, have you had the opportunity to investigate any further regarding whether or not the defendant made any calls from medical? And I'm specifically asking you about the time period from when Mr. Folsom was released from jail until the time when the search warrant was conducted, in which you impounded into evidence that golf club.
Yes, I have.
Okay, and did the defendant in this case make any calls during the time period beginning from when Mr. Folsom was released from jail with the plan to receive a phone call from Mr. Frasch and the time that the search warrant was conducted and the golf club was seized?
No, he did not. The first phone call was February 18th.
Okay.
The search warrant was February 13th.
Okay, stop. You said okay. When was Mr. Folsom released from jail?
I believe it was February 11th,
February 11th of what year?
2015.
And when was the search warrant conducted?
February 13th, 2015.
Okay, and during that time frame, there was no phone calls?
No
correct?
phone calls.
And I'm not just asking about phone calls to Mr. Folsom. Did he make any phone calls at all during that time?
None whatsoever.
All right, and you said no, his first phone call after that time period was when?
February 18th.
February 18th. So there's at least 7 days that he didn't make any phone calls at all.
Correct.
And do you have a knowledge base of Mr. Frasch's phone activity during the time he was in the jail?
For an example, he was in there from the February 18th through February 26th. There was 33 phone calls made.
All right, so based on your review of all his phone calls during the time he was incarcerated, would it be unusual for him to make 0 phone calls in 7 consecutive days?
It was very unusual.
Nothing further.
Cross.
Just so I'm clear, how long was he in the infirmary?
It appears he was in there somewhere between February 10th or 11th through February 26th.
I'm sorry, February 26th?
Correct.
Okay, and so from February 18th to February 26th, how many telephone calls did he make?
Approximately 33.
33. So he had access to telephones while he was in the infirmary.
He did.
And he made, in fact, 33 phone calls during a period of time that he was in the infirmary.
He did.
Okay. That's all I've got.
Redirect.
What's the difference between, I mean, yes, he was in medical the entire time, but what is, if you know, or if any, the difference between the time frame where he wasn't making any phone calls and the time frame where he was?
The condition in which he was in medical for.
And what do you mean by that?
I believe the illness, they didn't want contact with other inmates.
Because he had MRSA, correct?
Correct.
And he was in confinement during that 2/11 to 2/13 period.
Correct.
Nothing further.
Judge Inquiry,
You may.
do you know whether or not he was precluded from making phone calls while he's in confinement?
I do not know that.
Thank you.
Further, Ms. Captain?
No, sir.
All right. Did juror have a question, this witness on this topic? All right, you can step down. Next witness, Ms. Captain.
State rest, Judge.
All right, that means you've heard all the testimony you're going to hear. I want to send you on to the jury room now, and I need to meet with the attorneys. We need to kind of come up with a timeline of how we're going to proceed. So we'll be with you just shortly to kind of give you an update on that. Everybody be seated, please.
Judge, if I might at this time, renew its previously made motion for judgment of acquittal and restate and reincorporate all previously made arguments.
Right. And my ruling would be the same, and I guess the only after I'd had a little bit of time to think about it, I know the defense had raised an issue of premeditation, and after having a little bit of thought about it, I think the premeditation is really established by the fact that I think the evidence would establish that whoever murdered Miss Frasch put her into the water, and that was the ultimate cause of her death, and that certainly could be found by the jury to be a premeditated act. So I'm going to deny the motion for judgment of acquittal. How do y'all want to proceed?
I'm ready to proceed whenever, Judge. We're fine with proceeding before lunch, Judge. I would need, a couple minutes to get myself together, but I think
Well,
we're ready.
obviously, it's going to take me a little while to get the jury instructions finalized, but so let's go over the jury instructions, and y'all can remain seated during this process. I think we went through all the murder instructions. Does anybody have a different position today than they had yesterday?
Judge, I sent you the court an email last night that the defense had rethought the process of requesting the lessers. We do not request lessers as to this particular case, and request specifically that it just be first-degree murder or not guilty. Two choices, no lessers. State has indicated to me, and I conveyed to the court that they don't agree with that, and they would be requesting the lessers.
If you sent me an email, I didn't see it, so anyway.
And we didn't get your...
So anyway, we're having electronic communication problems. So, but anyway, I did not receive it, just for the record. So what's the state's position?
I am seeking both lessers, Judge.
All right, I think the defense would agree that both second-degree murder and manslaughter are Category 1 lesser included offenses, and arguably supported by the evidence. I think the law is that I would be required to give them upon state request. Defense have any argument to the contrary?
No, sir, that's the law.
All right, so as to the instructions, first-degree murder, second-degree murder, manslaughter, anybody have any second thoughts, found any mistakes, have any issues they want added into those instructions?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
And I think the only other thing we had over on page 9, we had left open that the defendant might testify, so I would strike the defendant testified provision, which would be on page 9, first full paragraph, and the defense still seeks the defendant not testifying instruction. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Any other changes that anyone suggests be made in the instruction?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
So with that, there are no objections to the proposed instructions?
No objection.
No
Judge.
objection.
Right, and the verdict form, have y'all found any error there?
No, sir.
I didn't change it from what we had before. All right, so I'll go get those finalized, and that'll take me, say, 20 minutes. States be ready to proceed in the closing immediately thereafter.
Yes, sir.
You have any sense for how long you'd be, Ms. Kaplan? I'm just trying to come up with kind of a time frame.
I don't really have a sense, Judge. Maybe 30 minutes would be my best guess, but. That's just based on prior closings.
That would probably take us to, say it took us to 11:45. I'm just trying to get a ballpark. Do y'all want to take a lunch break in between them, or you prefer to go ahead and do them all at once and just go straight through?
I'd rather do them all at once, Judge.
Well, obviously, it depends if we're getting close to the lunch hour, I don't want to end up having to rush mine and,
I'm not suggesting anybody rush, but I don't think that, you know, if, seemed to me we could probably have it all. How long are you thinking you're taking, Mr. Taylor?
well, I average 34 minutes, so, you know.
Average 34 minutes?
I've kept the record of it for years, and that seems to be where it falls. Sometimes significantly less, sometimes a little bit longer, but just to be safe, I always tell the judges 34 minutes is about the average.
And I'm not trying to put a time frame on anyone, I'm just trying to get us in. Well, it seems to me we could easily be done then by 1 o'clock with, if we just went straight through the instructions. I don't think the jury would be offended by that, and then we could order lunch for them in and let them start. Maybe somewhere in there, take a quick 5-minute break.
Okay.
Does that suit everybody?
Yes, sir.
You know, and if it changes, it changes. We'll see. All right, we're gonna shoot for that. I'm gonna tell the jury we're gonna be about 15 minutes, and we'll start with the instructions. All right?
All right.
Anything else from either side?
No.
No,
All
sir.
right, we'll be in recess.
Yeah.